This is BBC Radio 5 Live. 5 Live Breakfast.
With Nicky Campbell and Rachel Burden.
Going to speak to Mark Dempster, a former drug trafficker, in just a second. He's with us. Hello. Good morning.
Hello there.
Spanish police say they want British officers to help crack down on the drug culture in Ibiza. A request from the Guardia Civil comes a year after two British women were caught trying to smuggle cocaine. I'm sure you remember this case. Michaela McCullum and Melissa Reid claimed that they were approached by a gang in Ibiza, forced to make a trip to Peru to smuggle drugs back. Radio 1 Newsbeat's Ben Mundy has met British tourists who continue to take extreme risks to take drugs here. Now, one 25-year-old man admitted he'd taken cocaine to Ibiza to sell.
I took stuff over here, got to Ibiza, and in one day it was gone. You approach someone once, and then word gets around, and literally it's there, gone. Still got a load of pills and everything down the road.
At what point did you think, I'm going to go to Ibiza and I'm going to take some drugs with me?
At the point where I realised it was expensive to go into the clubs. I mean, it's what, 18 quid for a drink. So I thought, bring Charlie out, take it over here, sell it, and make money.
What you're doing is illegal. You've smuggled drugs, you've sold drugs, and your excuse is to fund a holiday for you and your mates.
Well, I don't think it's just smuggling drugs.
But you did bring them out here.
No, but either way, it's going to happen.
And what on that specific point about it's not on, you're glorifying, and, you know, you've done it to fund a holiday?
Of course, I don't think it's right that you do it, but my mum would disgrace me if she knew about it.
Well, Mark is here. Mark Dempster, author of Nothing to Declare, Confessions of an Unsuccessful Drug Smuggler, Dealer and Addict. Smuggled drugs through airports more than 100 times, never caught by the authorities. That sounds quite successful to me.
No, it can appear as if you're successful because you don't get caught, but I get caught in other ways, and also I was in an addictive process, and once you start that type of process, you don't know when to stop really, because you get sort of addicted to the adrenaline of it too.
I was going to ask you about that, because you're an addiction specialist now. And you help people with addictions, with all sorts of addictions, which is great, the way that you've turned your life around. But is it as much, obviously there are huge rewards for doing this, which make the risks worthwhile. Yeah. But I was going to ask you, the buzz of it, is that a big part of it?
A big part of it's the gamble, because there is that, there's different elements to it. I mean, when I grew up as a child, there was a lot of things happened in my early childhood where it was quite traumatic, and it was quite dangerous because there was a lot of aggression and violence in my sort of family. And I think what happens as a child, you get sort of wired to that danger. And later on, when and my influences too, the people that I used to hang around with when I was younger too, that I'd look up to, were doing similar things.
So when you're going through customs, is the heart really beating?
The heart's beating, because you know that at any point. So you're trying to you're trying to think of, it's a bit like, you know, the Johnny Depp movie Blow, where he's trying to think of a time where he was having sex, or he was, you know, there was a different time, so he's in a completely different mind frame. That's what's happening. The adrenaline's going. As soon as you're waiting on the baggage, for the baggage to come through, your heart's almost like beating out your chest, and then there's that long walk between you, the baggage, and actually the green zone. And you're looking right away, scanning to see how many custom officers are there. It's difficult because sometimes there's no custom officers at the front, but there's 4 or 5 when you get through the other side. But you also, what you do when you're doing this is it's a profession, but if you're doing it regularly, you're trying to get flights to come in at certain times into certain airports. So you're picking like early morning flights so that there's less customs and excise, you know. So you're trying to minimise the risk, but it's a gamble, of course. And
we hear about people putting drugs in condoms and swallowing them and all sorts of things.
Yeah,
you've done that.
I've done that. Yeah, I've done that with. And I mean, this is crazy. It's all crazy.
What was in the condom?
Heroin, lots of heroin.
What if it had split inside you?
Oh, you're dead.
Bran bread, dead.
And I done that one. I remember one time I came from India to Thailand, and I was smuggling hash into Thailand because it's all grass in Thailand, and I remember I had about a third of a kilo in my belly, and I had it in there for 3 days because a number of factors. I'd been using heroin at the time, and that constipates you, so I wound up with this hash in my stomach for 3 days, and of course the body acids start to attack the cling film and whatever you've wrapped it in. I dipped it in beeswax and put in cling film. So, but yeah, no, it's absolute craziness. I mean,
did it get out? Did it start to seep into your system then? The hash?
No, it didn't. In that time, I eventually got it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's breakfast time.
Yeah, I know.
But we know
not the best conversation.
No, we know where you go. It's necessary, but you know, this is how far people go because the rewards are such that it makes it worthwhile. And do you look back at this with shame?
Well, I've done a lot of work on myself in the years, and I realise also that I was really in an addictive process at the time. It's not definitely nothing I'm proud of, but I can't afford to carry shame with me.
Okay, so it's a different you.
Yeah,
I see a lot of sniffer dogs. I do a lot of travelling for filming and so forth.
Yeah.
I see a lot of sniffer dogs. And because I do a lot of long haul, I sometimes take some sleeping pills. And the sniffer dogs were interested in my sleeping pills, and I was taken to one side. And it was all fine. But these sniffer dogs are incredible, and there seems to be more of them now. Yeah, but you know, also there is more of them. But of course, the people that are smuggling drugs, they've got loads more inventive ideas to get through customs and excise. As far as the customs and excise keep improving, but there's so many cutbacks in customs and excise through recently. So you know, people are very creative around the ways that they get drugs into the country still to this day. You know, so were you a freelancer, as it were?
Freelancer, freelancer. I never wanted to, you know, because I thought, why do it for someone else, and they're skimming all the money. You know, it makes sense.
So Ibiza, the Home Office says it's not received a request for help so far. The National Crime Agency says it collaborates closely with Spanish authorities. There's a number of offices based in the country. Not everyone who takes drugs becomes an addict. Let's be honest and open and clear about that. And there are arguments about declassifying or putting ecstasy into a different classification. We won't go into these arguments now. But surely there has to be more joined up thinking on this to stop the young people doing this.
Oh yeah, I think there's got to be much more educational stuff. I think, the preventative because of all the legal highs and such like, it's very difficult now to have control over drug supply. But you can do a lot more around the preventative stuff and educational stuff in schools, giving people more information about addiction, getting them, you know, and so there is things you can definitely put in place.
Are the traffickers mainly addicts, do you think?
No, I think you get some freelancers who are addicts who are and also people who are just really who want the money, who want
how much money is
quick
it
money.
If you take a load of
well, if you think about it, if you're in countries like India, I was in India and it was like £1,000 a kilo for heroin in India. If you bring that same kilo back to England, it's £25,000-26,000, but that's without it being cut. So they cut it again and maybe cut it again. So you're talking about from a £1,000 investment, you could make £75,000 or £80,000. Cocaine's the same. Of course, it's the same. Yeah.
Thank you, but I'll leave it there.
It was good talking.
All interesting. Mark Dempster, author of Nothing to Declare: Confessions of an Unsuccessful Drug Smuggler, Dealer and Addict, talking about, Ibiza is our lead here. Police extremely worried about what's going on there. It's 8:15.
Now we just